At what point is it reasonable for a startup to start looking for funding? And at what point is it, what's the indication of, okay, you need to stop, maybe you can carry your on and there's no need for funding? Where do we start and where's the end? Where's that?
So I'll just kind of like, go through my journey too as a startup founder. In most cases, you want to start looking for funding as early as possible, right? But then, at this was point, what kind of fund are you looking at each time? So at the early stage, you're looking for angel investors, people that believe in you, what you're trying to do, mostly your family members and your friends. At that stage, you're just trying to validate your idea, setting up a company, you have a very small team, you're bootstrapping, partly. So you're looking for very small tickets, right? You don't go looking for like $5 million, maybe, unless you're trying to solve a problem that requires that amount of money. And to that point, like the example that you gave of someone that worked on Tesla, already the team already has a very strong player, right, in it, right? So you also need to consider your own level of experience and what you've done in the past. For a lot of second-time founders, they've already learned a whole lot of things. So it's easy for them to quickly validate, and then it's easy for them to raise funding for higher ticket sizes faster because they've already kind of like gone through that early stage already. So the key thing here is looking at where you are and to assessment and knowing exactly what kind of fund you want. So mostly it's going to be angel investment. So after that, I would advise that people go for like programs, sister programs, not necessarily because there's any like structure, like it's not a must to go into those systems, but then what programs help you do is it helps you then fine-tune other things in your business, right? Because if you don't have very good knowledge of very, very standard and basic things in your business, there's a high chance that you're going to get in that angel investment and you're going to learn a whole lot, but then you'll have gone through all that money before you're able to start doing business, right? So you want to go into a program, it might be an equity type program or a non-equity type program where you kind of like just get that fundamental of your business, getting the product market fit, understanding your cost basis, all these type of things. Just know, this is even a valuable business to pursue, like the market size. Like the market size is very, very, very small. Then maybe you have to think outside of what you're trying to offer, or maybe pivoting to another product. So like I said, after that you go for like a pre-seed round, right? And the key thing, like I mentioned, is understanding where you are at each part of your journey, knowing what you need at that point in time as a startup founder, and then go on, to what you've got in the product market fit, getting some revenue, getting some traction, what next, to get, and that could round or maybe even a bigger round depending on how much you've gotten at that point. Well, in terms of the end, I'll say this, right? Businesses never stop needing money, right? The other part of it is what type of money am I looking for at each stage. So I'll give an example. Most businesses who are asset heavy would always need debt and working capital to drive their business, right? Because you need to keep acquiring assets to keep growing your business, right? For businesses who, for instance, are more tech driven, right, they tend towards equity more. But then if you're trying to, I'll give you an example. If you look at a company like Uber, you wonder why would Uber need more money? Then Uber is trying to build self-driving technology. It requires a whole lot of money to implement. Right? So even though they might think that they are fine, but then for you to build that next product, you might require funding for that, right? But the goal is this, like whether as working capital, whether as like short-term instruments, most businesses always require funding as they keep growing their business. Yeah, so as a startup founder, I'll say, we won't ever say, oh, there's a time for you to stop raising funding, but then there are going to be breaks in between. Like, you can't perpetually be raising money. Like, I can't raise a seed round now, $2 million, and I'm in the market tomorrow, right? Raising, like, you need to spend time to also build the business, right? So you raise funding, you build for a while, you'll know when it makes sense to go raise more funding based on several milestones that you've already projected from your initial fundraise and also other market dynamics. You go raise on that funding round, you can pause again, you build your business, then go raise on that round, and then when you become like a bigger company, then you can start thinking of, okay, do I need to get some debt? Do I need to get some working capital? Do I need to get some forms of structured financing that is not exactly equity? That way I'm able to keep growing my business without diluting the business.